I am a clinical psychologist. Everyday life, troubled minds, depression, insomnia, personality disorders, and fading hopes, these are all part of my professional world. There's a quote hanging on the wall of my office: in trying to fix everyone else, don't let yourself fall apart. I always believed that I could listen to others' pain, understand them, and help pull them out of darkness, but the day I'm about to tell you about, it wasn't an ordinary day. It was a Thursday morning. A light rain was falling. I held a cup of tea in my hand and mentally reviewed the day's patient schedule. I got ready as usual and approached the door to leave for the clinic, but my hand froze midair. Keys? My bag was slung over my shoulder. Files, check. Mobile, check. But the house keys were still inside. Oh no. I turned back to re-enter the house, but the door had already locked behind me, and there was no one inside. My mother was away visiting my sister, and the maid had the day off. I stood outside the door for a moment, thinking. The rain was picking up. Suddenly, I heard a faint sound from inside, soft breathing. Faint, yet clear. My hair stood on end. Is someone in there? I shouted, but no response. Then the sound came again. Like footsteps stopping suddenly. Maybe it's just my imagination. I tried to reassure myself. But my heart refused to believe it. There was an old window at the back of the house, once part of the pantry. I decided to quietly go there. I bent down and peered through it. The room was dark, but something inside moved, a shadow. I froze, my eyes locked on the window. It was a human figure, but I couldn't make out who. I gently pushed the window. To my surprise, it opened. Gathering all my courage, I climbed inside. The house was completely silent. My footsteps echoed across the floor. Everything felt strange. Same home, same walls, same furniture, but it all felt foreign. I walked towards the kitchen. That's where the sound was coming from. As I approached the door, my breath caught in my throat. My heart pounded wildly. What I saw was unbelievable. Small blue diamond me. Sitting right there. It was me, wearing the same white shawl, the same ID badge I wear at the clinic. Same parting in the hair. Same sitting posture, but the eyes, those eyes were different. They were lifeless. Empty. Motionless. She was writing in my diary. I stood frozen, speechless, and then, without looking up, she spoke. So, you finally come? A chill ran down my spine. Who are you? She smiled, but it was a strange, unfamiliar smile. I'm the part of you that you locked away years ago. I'm your reflection, the part you forgot. She still sat there, my mirror image, yet hollow. Her presence was eerily familiar, yet distant. Do you remember when you shut me out? I tried to speak, but the words were trapped inside me. My heart was racing. I don't understand. Who are you? What is this? Why are you here? She stood up, even her footsteps sounded like mine, every move, every gesture, a reflection, but something was off, something eerie. Something hidden in the shadows, but inside. Something was shattering. You forgot me, but I never forgot you. I am your buried childhood pain, your fear, your anger, every emotion you denied. Everything started spinning. My mind began to fall into a dark abyss of the past. I was 12. My father's behavior was harsh. His anger, his cruelty, and the line he often repeated, psychological weakness is the mark of the weak. Once, I fell while playing. My arm hurt. I cried. He said, "Stop this drama. Learn to bear pain." That was the day I learned to suppress my feelings. I began to hide everything inside. I learned to smile. I wore the mask of strength. Remember now? She asked, staring into my eyes. I am the tears you never allowed to fall. I'm the scream you silenced. I stepped back. My hands trembled. My mind screamed, this isn't real. I'm a psychologist. I'm not crazy. But she was there, each moment, more real, more present. She picked up my diary and began to read. Patient number 27, claims he sees his own reflection. Believes it's come to harm him. Possible schizophrenia? She looked at me. Why do you avoid your own mirror? While reading others so easily, tears rolled down my face. Maybe for the first time in years. Why did I forget myself? She smiled. Because you learned how to survive, but you stopped feeling. I sat on the floor, leaning against the wall. My heart felt lighter, as if decades of burden were leaving my soul, but the reflection remained silent. There was still a story left in her eyes. This isn't over yet. You must return with me, to where it all began. I nodded slowly. Where? To the room in your mind you've always kept locked. She extended her hand. I took it. Her hand was still in mine. We floated between light and shadow. My body existed, but the ground didn't. The air was silent, yet louder than screams. Where are you taking me? I asked. Her voice echoed. Into your own mind, where you've locked away everything. We descended into a long corridor. On the walls were hazy images, some clear, some terrifying. Every image was a piece of my past. It felt like a hidden curtain was lifting from them. She opened the first door, a classroom. I was being scolded. The teacher's voice echoed. You'll never amount to anything. You're always afraid. I trembled. She said. These were the moments you buried as weakness, but they scarred your sense of self. Next door, a dark room, childhood nights. Lights off, alone in bed, my father yelling in the background, my mother, silent. I closed my eyes. Tears streamed down. These were the shadows you ran from, not by leaving, but by hiding them inside you. Each door, each room, a feeling, a heartbreak, a trauma. We kept going. The corridor grew narrow. The air got heavier. I was getting tired, but I held her hand tight. Then we reached one final door. Unlike the others, no label. No memory, just a chilling silence and an unbearable cold. What is this? I asked. She said quietly. This is the moment you never remembered. You burned it, buried it, erased it, but it still lives inside you. She opened the door. Inside, a small, dark room, a chair, and on it, me. But wounded, torn clothes, blood on the forehead, terror in the eyes. I screamed, what is this? When did this happen? Why don't I remember? She stepped forward and showed me the wounds. This was the day you were truly broken. There were no visible scars, no screams, but your soul was deeply wounded. And then, like a switch, the memory returned. That day. That moment. I was 12, on my way home from school, a man from the neighborhood. I went still. Frozen, no words, no breath, no movement. The deepest wound inside me, the one I hid even from myself, was now uncovered. She came close. The pain was visible on my face. It's time you stop burying this. Own it. Your pain is not weakness. It can be your strength. I walked towards the broken, younger version of me. I embraced her. And for the first time, I said the words I had longed to hear. It wasn't my fault. I am not to blame. I survived. The room began to glow. She smiled. You faced your deepest fear. Now, you are whole. A gentle light filled me. For the first time in decades, I felt peace. That inner prison of pain, it was dissolving. We returned to the corridor, every door shut on its own, but without chains. I looked at her. She was becoming translucent, fading slowly. Now I am within you, not a shadow, not a reflection, but truly, you. I bowed my head and said, thank you, for showing me. I woke up. Morning had arrived, peace on my face. Light in my breath. I stood before the mirror, and for the first time, I saw myself, recognized, accepted. The morning light filled the room, birds sung outside, the wind in the trees, silence inside, not empty, but calm. I touched my face, same face, but now, there was softness, light, and life. My daily routine resumed, but I was no longer its prisoner. Every task carried awareness. Patience came. I listened. But now listening was no longer just a job, it was a connection. Their pain, their shadows, their reflections, they were all now part of my heart. One day, a young patient arrived, his voice shaky. I feel like there's a shadow inside me. Always watching. I'm scared of myself. I looked at him. He echoed the very words I had once wanted to say, but never could. I wrote something down and handed it to him. That shadow isn't you. It's your unheard voice. We'll listen to it, and it will become your light. He began to cry. I gave him time, just like my reflection had given me. One evening, I opened my diary, and for the first time, I wrote about that day, the day I had erased from memory. My hands trembled, but I didn't stop. Each word felt like it was cleansing poison from my soul. That was the day I fell silent. But today, I speak, for myself, for my being. At the end, I wrote, "My silence is over, my reflection is now whole." A few days later, I began a research paper on past trauma. I titled it, "The Silent Mirror, a Dialogue with the Self." It wasn't just a paper, it was a journey I had once hidden, but now owned. My writing was no longer for others, it was for me. One day, I visited the back part of my house, the same place where I had first seen my reflection, same window, same wall, same haunting memory, but now, there was no shadow, no figure, only tree branches swaying in the light. I closed my eyes, and once again heard her voice, "I am within you, I am light, I am your story." I smiled, and at that moment, I knew, I was no longer a prisoner, I was free. Before sleeping, I stood before the mirror and asked myself, "So, how are you?" And from deep within, the answer came, "Safe. Whole. Radiant." It wasn't just my reflection, it was my soul's testimony. This journey ended, but every end is a new beginning. My reflection is no longer silent, it is my voice. And whenever a shadow appears, I will not fear it, I will listen, I will accept, I will embrace, because that, too, is me. Subscribe to Psyche Bites 708 for weekly drops that dissect the mind, expose manipulation, and arm you with mental firepower. No fluff, no filters, just raw, psychological insight. Hit that follow, share with your tribe, and never fall for the game again. Asterisk this with Psyche Bites 708. Silence is strength, stillness is strategy. Train the unseen, control everything.